All right, so welcome everyone. Chadi Bazzi here with the Top Listing Agent Show. This first time we have Colton here. I've been wanting to get him for a while, and the timing just worked out in your benefit because there's no better time to have Colton with us than right now, dealing with all the uncertainties of the world, what's happening in the real estate market, and all that good stuff. Been watching everything that he's been doing on a daily basis. So if you're not following Colton on Facebook, you definitely want to, connect with him now. If you're not already part of the WGR group, right, Colton?
Yeah.
The group, you definitely want to connect there. He's sharing a lot of great stuff, got the mastermind and a lot of great things. So what we're going to be talking about, before we get into what we're going to talk about, Colton, go ahead and introduce you. I mean, everyone should know who you are. And, for the few people that don't know who you are, why don't you tell the world who you are and how amazing you are and why they should pay attention?
So I am Colton Lindsay with the WGR Academy. Here's the reality of, I think, why a lot of people are reaching out to me right now, Chadi, is it's not just today that I've been talking about the psychological and emotional state that you've got to be in as a business leader, as a community leader, but for your own sanity, your own fulfillment. I think for too long, obviously, and you guys can put in the comments if this is you want to grow and scale your business. You want to put more money in your pocket. And you also want to take that money and create financial freedom. That has been probably the biggest driving factor for most realtors, with this idea of, how do I really create passive income? How do I make more money? How do I create the life of my dreams, my lifestyle? But I think for far too many years, it's been such an emphasis on more deals, more money, financial freedom, and not an emphasis on what is your deep core of fulfillment. Where is your true authentic self? And are you happy and full of joy and love and appreciation and patience during this journey? And unfortunately, it took a pandemic for most people to realize that they actually have zero control of their business and their lives, or very little. I mean, think about this. How many of you, and just put a yes or a no in the comments, have felt some bit of anxiety or worry or doubt or fear or overwhelmment in the last 3 weeks in regards to your real estate business, your finances, your health, your relationships? And if you can't admit to you have, at least on a small level, felt that, okay, then you're either lying about it or you just aren't aware of what your emotions are really doing right now. And so for me to already be in this space, to be that solid space emotionally for people, and to say, hey, there's tools and techniques you can use to be in certainty and trust yourself and to trust your decisions and know you're going to perform at a high level, that to me it's such a gift to be able to give that and help people in that space.
100%. And Colin, you couldn't have said it any better. It's because, everybody's been, just, scaling at whatever, they're just going through the motions and they're going through life, and every single person had a plan, for 2020. And, as the saying says, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. And I think everybody got punched in the face. And I immediately went into evaluation. What is this whole entire situation revealing about who I really am? Have I been a person that's been in denial, selling my idea that I'm really better than I really am? Am I really equipped with all the tools, the strategies, the emotional state of mind, the mental state of mind to lead me out of whatever we're going into, and then to make sure my family isn't negatively impacted, and for me to still have the ability to lead my community in my real estate world? So I think it's been a big revelation for a lot of people. And what's been revealed on the front surface is, most people immediately went into a state of fear and a state of panic immediately. I saw more fear, more panic than I've ever seen in the last 20 years of being in this industry. So my question to you would be okay, emotional management. How do we deal with some of our clients right now, whether it's a real estate buyer or a real estate seller, or one of our coaching clients is dealing with fear right now? How do they manage the fear?
Yeah. Well, I think the first step is for you, helping your coaching clients, you've got to be in that space of certainty, right? You've got to speak in that space of certainty, right? And so take, for example, whether it's your buyers or your sellers, your past clients, or the people that are looking to you now. I believe that leaders aren't being born. They're just being forced to step up right now more than ever. So it starts, right. And so if you're not already in a consistent morning, day, and evening routine with rituals that ignite the specific emotion that you're looking for, begin that immediately. If you're already doing routines with these powerful rituals that ignite those emotions, look at it, pay attention to it. What do I need to shift in it? What emotion do I need to feel more of? And I would say the two emotions that people are grasping over right now, one is certainty, because we're living in the most uncertain time in the history of modern society globally. And the second thing is you've got, I think people are wanting peace right now. This space of not wishful thinking hope, but hope in the sense of there is a higher power that is moving this agenda forward, right? That is doing this for the greater good. And here's what I come from. I believe in three things. I believe in God. I believe right now more than ever, and I always have, and I've always practiced that belief in a higher power. Number two is I believe in me. I believe that I'm connected to that source. And here's what's important, gang. I trust my decisions. I trust in my own decisions. And I think that's important because although the leadership of the United States and the globe, yes, they're exercising from the best of their ability, at least that's my belief, we truly don't know exactly what's going on behind the scenes. We really don't know what is happening, and you cannot rely on the government or anyone else to give you your certainty. You have to get it from within. And the only space of certainty that you can get is that everything's going to be okay by trusting in a higher power, by trusting in your abilities, your talents, your skills. And then the third thing I believe in people. I believe in Americans. I believe in Canadians. I believe in the Brazilians. I believe that each of us are connected to that higher source. And right now, the tide's going out, like Warren Buffett says, Chadi, and we'll see who's been swimming naked. And I don't just mean financially. I mean ego version. Because those that have been building a business or living a life in their ego for the last 5-8 years since the market's been in a bull market, right now, they're the ones that are not going to be able to out-talk this situation. The leaders that are coming from a space of authentic core self, they're naturally attracting the majority of any person right now, but specifically in the real estate community, let's refer to that, is because they're looking for guidance in the most uncertain time that they've ever experienced in their life. That's why so many people, I know you reached out to me, that's why so many people are reaching out to me. I don't say this to impress anyone, but these are practices I had in my life before the pandemic, before the economic meltdown, before the challenges. And, you know, it's funny, you know, Danny Morell, we both know Danny, he sent out an email to his email list the other day that really made me laugh because people were asking, well, what have you shifted with your routine? And it made me think about my routine. I was like, well, I haven't shifted anything. I go to bed the same time. I wake up the same time. I do the same prayer. I do meditation. I do breath work. I do cold plunge. I begin my day routine with the only thing that maybe shifted a bit is my kids don't go to school. They're on a computer at school or here at my house, right? That's the only thing that shifted. And so for me, it was an easy transition, but how many people, and Chadi, you've got clients, how long have you been teaching to do a morning routine? And people haven't dialed it in. How long have we been?
Years.
Right. So it's not new information, but people that don't have that into play right now, they feel even more afraid. They feel even more anxiety. They feel even more fear. And plus now there's so many people giving their opinions on what's going to happen to the markets that realtors don't really know what the freak's going to go on. But I can tell you this, 3.3 million people already unemployed, maybe even more than that by now. Business, hotels closed, schools closed, restaurants closed. You got the Cheesecake Factory announcing that they're not going to be paying rent in April. You better fucking believe it's going to affect the real estate market. And it doesn't have to be detrimental to your business, but values can't go up when people aren't paying their mortgages, when they're asking for forbearances, when they're renegotiating their loan terms. That doesn't push prices up. If anything, prices, I believe, will come down. I can't guarantee that, but I think that they will come down dramatically. And what we have to look at is, okay, if that's the way the market's moving, I can resist it or I can move with the market. I look at it, okay, well, government employees are going to be pretty solid people to be working with buying and selling real estate because they're going to have jobs. People in the medical field, they're going to be well employed. I want them as my clients, okay? Short sales, I might need to start dusting off my short sale boots from 2009, 10, 11, 12, so I get good at negotiating those. You know what? Maybe I do need to consider having a conversation with my clients and they do need to refinance right now to capture a 3.5% rate versus a 4.75% rate. And start thinking like, how can I add value to these people without regards on how I'm going to get paid, but just serving people.
Adding value, serving people. Love what you shared earlier about, the word belief. You said, hey, I believe in, I believe in God, I believe in me, and I believe in people. Okay. So, and I think belief is what gives you certainty. Certainty is nothing more than really, it's a belief. I mean, you could have certainty around something that's totally false, but in your world, it's certain, which is totally, changing your state of mind and your way of being and dictating the actions that you take each and every single day. Rituals to ignite the right emotions, and you said, hey, how long have you been teaching people about the morning routine? 20 years. Danny Morel said, hey, people asking me, what am I doing differently? His schedule is filled from the morning till nighttime, nothing changing. Okay. The only thing that's changing is, like you said, some of us, we have kids at home right now, more often than not. We got to adjust our schedules. We're still waking up at the same time. We're still dressing the part. We're still having the conversations. We're still doing all these things. And my clients ask me the same exact thing. And I say, look, you just got to do the job right now that you've been avoiding. That's exactly what it is. You just got to go back and,
and here's two, it's funny. I found myself with this, Chadi. I've been telling people, you got to really shrink your circle right now. Okay. And for me, it's been a very quick and easy decision to say, okay, well, here's where I've been wasting my time and effort and energy. Here's the people I've been giving attention and energy to I shouldn't be giving them to, and I need to cut that off. I have already reduced my expenses by nearly 30%. And what I realized, because it's the smart thing financially to do because of based on my mentorship and what I've learned from the people I've invested in with my business. But B, as I went through this, Colton, why the fuck were you paying for these expenses before the pandemic? Like, you got lazy here, right? So the pandemic just allows you to turn up the volume to pay attention to what you should have already been paying attention to. Now, here's where people are going to struggle though, Chadi, and I hope you guys are not these people. Pretending like it's going to pass quickly, pretending April 14th business is going to be like it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, because it's not. And the quicker you can adapt and you can shift and you can innovate, write that word down, gang, innovate, that's who's going to thrive through this. And I believe that me and my business, I'm going to make more money in the next decade I've made in my entire life.
Adapt, shift, innovate, reduce expenses, shrink circle. Look, guys, here's the thing. What am I doing? I'm taking notes. Okay, what should you be doing? You should be taking notes. You heard what he said. I'm going to make more money in the next decade than I've made my whole entire life. And I trust that. And I trust that we all have an opportunity. And yes, some people out there, they're going to have to shrink their expenses. They're going to have to modify their lifestyle. They're going to have to make adjustments. And guess what? These are all the things that you should have done a while ago. But I want to talk about reducing expenses real quickly, Colin. Some expenses, yes, you should, shrink. Some expenses you should not shrink. And I believe right now more than ever, and I know this is kind of biased, the expense in mentorship should not be shrunk. Or do you feel otherwise?
No, I actually think that's who you should be increasing with, but you need to be clear on who you're investing in, okay? Because like I said, when the tide goes out, we'll see who's swimming naked. You're going to see the same thing with mentorship. Who's been really playing at where they say they are, and who's been playing out of their ego. That's going to be very, very clear. And I know there's several companies that are shitting bricks right now that are in the real estate mentorship side, and they should be, because they built a business that cannot be sustained in a virtual COVID-19 marketplace, which I'm so grateful on how my business operates with the mastermind, because 95% of it's virtual, right? I have had to postpone my live mastermind, but okay, I push it back to July or August. Not a big deal. Our sales have gone up. Our COVID-19 business strategy calls, they're through the roof. My calendar is literally booked from one after another right now, and same with my sales team. But that's because of innovation. You know who people that were relying on filling their coaching clients or their mastermind clients through doing in-person events, they're fucked right now, right? And so you've got to be able to shift and innovate. And we're talking about the coaching industry, but realtors, what about you? What if you can't go on a listing presentation? How are you going to utilize Zoom to present and Dropbox or DocuSign to have the contract already filled out? People are asking me, well, what do I do different? You do it over a video screen. You give the same presentation via video screen. Instead of giving them a pen, you share your screen and you share with them how to sign the contract with the click of a mouse. It's not that hard.
Yep.
We've already been doing it in my own sales organization before this happened. This just actually accelerates people to accepting it more easily now.
Yep. Yeah, and some of us are way more ready than other people. Like you said, this is something that we've been talking about doing for a very long time. Like, I'll give you an example. Some of my clients, for example, their pre-listing package. It's via video. Okay. Presentations, Zoom, FaceTime, and it's all for free. We have access to anything and everything. It's just that people need to take the time out and learn how to adapt. What are some of the key innovative things that people need to like get with right now? Like, obviously more real estate is going to be done a little bit more virtually from now on,
Well, I think what you need to innovate immediately is your skill set, your ability to communicate. Okay. So how are you performing on video? How are you performing on doing a listing presentation, right? You should already have a role play partner. All right, now begin role-playing face-to-face listing presentations via Zoom. It's that simple. So I think that first thing is you need to double down on your skill set of communication. Here's another thing that I would add for you guys to do. So you need to be setting appointments. I think there's 3 appointments you need to be setting right now. One's a buyer appointment to present for buyers. One's a seller appointment to present to sellers. But the third one is you just need to have face-to-face presentations with your database just to find out where they're at with things. You might find out that they're out of a job and they're not going to be able to make payments soon. So what are your options? Do you help them move towards a forbearance? Do you have them consider a short sell? Do you list their home and sell it and get the equity out so they can have capital right now because cash is oxygen? Are they still okay with their job and actually they should do a refinance? So you should start setting 15-minute Zoom calls with your sphere of influence and your past clients, just getting a pulse for where they're at. I've been doing it with my key people. You know what I found out? A lot of them are feeling anxiety right now. They're feeling anxiety because they're of the uncertain space. Guess what? The best thing I can do for them is I can discuss through them one of the things that I use, which is breath work. I can now teach them breath work to change the chemicals in their body so that when that anxiety comes up, they have a space to move through it. So it's about finding ways you can add value to people, and then people are going to naturally do this. You get on that 15-minute call, you're calling your sphere of influence. By the way, how's the real estate business? How are you doing right now with real estate? Are you okay? Because right now, I believe the pandemic's turning the volume up on who people really are, and I believe people are naturally compassionate at their core. I believe that they truly are loving and warm and caring. Yeah, we're going to have a lot of people that are still with their head in the sand, and you just have to go look on the news and they were the ones partying on the beach in Florida, or they're the ones that are still out and about doing stuff, not really honoring the situation of our public. But majority of who's in your circle, they're compassionate, they're loving, they're full of truth, and you're going to be able to connect with those people in a spiritual manner. And I don't mean religious, but I mean a loving, warm, compassionate way.
Yeah, and that connection, that it doesn't have to be a spiritual connection. It's just a different kind of connection. It's more of an authentic connection. All right, so back to you said innovate, double down on your skills, communication skills. There's the communication skills, for the listing presentation, how you speak to sellers is how you speak one way, depending on, what's happening in the market. How you speak to buyers is a completely different kind of conversation. And then, how you speak to for sale by owners is a different conversation right now, because 2-3 weeks ago, the for sale by owners, in their mind, they really thought they don't need you. And right now they're like, I know nothing about real estate. I have no idea how I'm going to be impacted or anything like that. And I just got off a call with Greg Harrelson, Greg Harrelson, one of the most amazing people as well too. And we talked a lot about sales strategies and the importance of being able to navigate conversations, not only one-on-one, but also virtually now, in front of a camera, et cetera. Is there anything specific that you want to say about how one must go about building and strengthening that skill right now?
So I think it first starts with managing your state of emotions first. And I keep going back to that and your psychological belief. Do you believe you can succeed in the COVID-19 market? Because if you're worried about being able to succeed, it doesn't matter what skill sets you develop. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You've got to decide now, yes, I can make money in the COVID-19 real estate market. I can thrive through this. A great book, I don't have it in here with me, Antifragile. I recommend everyone reads it. It's the idea that most realtors, they're fragile right now. They are so fragile that they're going to end up worse through this economic downturn than when it started. Some of them are robust, meaning they're going to end up just as good as they were before it started. But there's very few that are anti-fragile, meaning they're actually going to end up better off because of this. I believe in the anti-fragile, but it's the decision to be able to adapt. So first of all, what's your morning routine? Go back to that. When I ask you this, Chadi, time equals what? What does time equal?
Time equals opportunity.
That's one way to look at it. A lot of people say time equals money, time equals this, time equals that. I believe, from my perception, time equals emotion. What emotion do I want to choose to experience right now? Right now, I'm in fucking certainty mode. I want absolute certainty that I'm going to drive revenue into my business, that I'm going to increase the amount of annual revenue. I'm going to be even better at my expenses. I'm going to be even more profitable. I want certainty with that. Well, what are the actions I must do that will cause that certainty? So as a real estate agent, you got to be talking to as many people as possible right now. And you need to come with that voice of certainty mixed with some organic lightheartedness and playfulness, so to speak, okay? There's a time of being full-on warrior, but most of it, you still need to be wizard right now. You need to be on high alert, but you need to be really in that space of decisiveness. Because your job isn't to convince buyers or sellers to do business with you. It's your job to convince them that you're convinced they should do it with you. It's not a matter of will people still buy or sell. Absolutely, they will. But those that are the lighthouse right now, a voice of certainty in their business, they're going to naturally attract way more clients. The other people that are nervous or scared or giving bullshit information, and you can tell they're speaking from their ego or they're very insecure, guess what? People are going to naturally pull away from them. They're going to naturally make it that much easier to not return your call, not return your text message, to not hire you. But the guy or the gal that's in that space of certainty from the inside out, they're the ones that can get the business. But sometimes you don't need certainty. Sometimes you just need to be peaceful. Sometimes you need to be connected with your family. Does your wife, does your spouse, do your children, do they need you to show up now more than ever? Not being at that 7 o'clock dinner call on or dinner on a phone call, but being fully present with them? Do your kids that are not in school right now, do they need a mom? Do they need a dad that's emotionally there for them now? So you've got to decide and discover, where do you need to step up even more as a leader? And it starts with taking self-inventory every single day. Another great book I recommend is called The Road Less Stupid by Keith Cunningham. He teaches the concept of thinking time. Great leaders are great salespeople, and great leaders and great salespeople ask great questions. The first person they ask great questions to are themselves. And they do it to take inventory of their answers. Not to be right or wrong with any of these questions, but to get a clear picture and then execute on what they've discovered from questioning themselves. Right now,
what's a good question for one to ask themselves right now if they're taking self-inventory?
I think a great question every business owner needs to ask themselves, and should have already asked themselves 2 weeks ago, what expenses do I need to cut immediately?
Okay.
Another great question is, how can I innovate my business immediately? Another great question is where am I lying to myself about my business or my money? Another great question is, what do I need? Who else do I need to talk to today? Who else do I need a meeting with?
Yeah.
But if you have a 30 minute to 60 minute meeting with yourself every day, asking yourself these questions, you're going to fill up a whole journal like this pretty quickly. And you're not going to use all the information that comes from it, but all you need is one little idea that changes your entire future. And what's important to understand, these conversations we're having right now are no different than the conversation I would have had 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks ago.
Exactly.
It's just you're more tuned into it right now, guys.
Yeah. Right.
You're just more aware.
Yeah, here's a couple more good questions. What am I thinking that I need to stop thinking? Okay. What should I be thinking? Okay. Yeah. What beliefs do I need to adopt, okay? Who do I need to be right now to be the man or woman that can lead my family out of, you know, this and into, you know, abundance, etc. These are all good questions. What should I be saying to myself all day, every single day? You know, what do I need to, you know, remind myself of every single day? What do I need to learn? Who do I need to learn it from? These are all very, very, very good questions. And if anyone else thinks of another question, please leave it in the comment box, you know, right below this video. Maybe we can get the questions together and we can send them out to you guys, etc. All right. So you said step number one, man, we got to decide. We got to decide that I'm going to come out of this, that I can do this, that I can do this. So I make the decision. And then, you know, the second thing we got to do is what? Become more resourceful.
Yeah, well, I think that's a great way. You got to look at, it's not about having the resources right now. It's got to be more resourceful, right? So meaning, how are ways that you can have communication with people? Okay, you're in New York City, you can't cold call right now. You're in New York, you can't cold call, but you can sure as hell have Zoom calls with your past clients in your sphere of influence, right?
Yeah.
And so you gotta ask yourself, what can I do immediately to shift? What can I do to innovate, depending on where your marketplace is? And you have to trust in yourself to act. You know, a lot of people are like you and I right now have obviously moved to, we got to get content out there for people, which I totally agree with. We need to get content to you guys, but it's also been detrimental for realtors because now there's so much more added content for COVID-19. Realtors are getting paralyzed from watching one train to a next, right? And you don't need to be watching one train to the next. Yes, you need to have an education period every single day, but you need to get into fucking action immediately, okay? There's two spaces. I talked about the wizard and the warrior. Part of before you act is you need to just observe what the freak is really going on, okay? I want you to think for just a second. Chadi, you've been around a lot longer than I have. Have you ever seen the American economy where schools were shut down, hotels were shut down, restaurants were shut down? And I believe the pandemic was just a trigger if this was going to happen with or without the pandemic. This just accelerated it because it's a bunch of funny money going on. We had a 12-year bull market. We all knew a shift was coming. We had PTSD from previous shifts, previous crashes, okay? And so, but now is not the time to be on holiday, to be on vacation, to wait till April 14th or April 30th for this to pass by like it's just going to go by and just move on. My estimate, and I'm not even saying I'm completely accurate on this, but I think we're 8 to 12 weeks of the current situation we're in. And then I think we're another 8 to 12 weeks just for the general public to psychologically start to be okay again. This is very traumatic. You know, in our state alone, in the last 2 weeks, we've had a 35% increase in domestic violence. I was talking to my personal coach right before this call because her background is she owned a facility she's a psychotherapist. And her background was for people that had either some sort of mental disorder like schizophrenia, bipolar, different mental disorders, but also had an addiction to like drugs or alcohol or something as well. And so now she's being called in to help other psychotherapists and psychologists now to place people in psych wards right now because there's such an increase of people losing their shit. You're going to start to see more and more people not to be able to deal with this psychologically and emotionally, and for even people that don't go meet with a psychologist or a therapist through this, there's can be way more paranoia than ever before, okay? So you've got to be the guiding light, and you've got to trust in yourself, which goes back to what mentorship program are you in? Is that guy or that gal that's leading your mastermind or your coaching call, can you feel their authentic certainty? Can you feel their genuine peace and tranquility? Can you feel, I'm not saying that they don't feel a bit of nervousness or anxiety as well. I think you would be crazy not to sense it, right? But at the same time, is that person or that community you're with, are they leaders or are they victims right now?
Yeah. You know, it's a thing, you know, to feel it. And it's, you know, you cannot not feel it because that would be denial. Okay. It's, how is that leader managing the emotion of it? How are they reacting to it? Because it's there, but it's like, what is the response to it? Is the response one of weakness or is the response one of, you know, strength and leadership? And that's exactly what we need to be looking for. All right, so we decide we got to trust in ourselves to act. And, you know, that's another thing that you said is that, you know, there is a lot of content out there. I mean, it's to the point to where it's like, who do I listen to? Okay. And my advice to every single person is, I think there's a lot of good leaders out there that are sharing a lot of great information, but not every single person is your cup of tea for whatever reason. What you need to do is decide on who is your number one, number two, and number three, and just keep it at that, at tops. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, whoever they are, it doesn't matter as long as you've identified they're good people and they're leading you in the right direction. And every single day, consume a little bit from this guy, a little bit from that guy, and a little bit of that guy. But here's the thing I'm telling every single person out there is, you don't want to get into this analysis paralysis of just taking notes and taking notes and taking notes and taking notes. It's not about just, getting all this information. It's the words of speed of implementation. Speed of implementation. How fast can you take what Colton shared with us today and apply that is going to be the key indicator of how well, you innovate, how fast you make a difference for you, your family, and your community. So speed of implementation is everything. I mean, I'm already taking a look at this and I'm like, okay, man, this is a lot. This is a lot. It's a lot for the person that's been sitting on the sidelines watching other people do this stuff. It's a little for the person that's already been doing it, because for them, it's like, hey, tell me something I haven't already been doing.
Well, also what you need to be able to do is this information that you're getting, you need to just pick one or two and execute on that first. Don't try to do all of this. But if you have not already become the steward of your money, here's what I did immediately. I canceled so it was probably when South by Southwest canceled their event. At the same time, a company called Orangetheory Fitness. I don't know if you guys know Orangetheory Fitness or not, but one of the gals that a gal that I date, she works for a company that it's her major account, and so she's friends with the CEO over at Orangetheory. And she said, Colton, they just canceled their major Orangetheory event, and I was like, what? Like, I needed to pay attention to this. This was before the NBA. This was even before South by Southwest. And I had my event in Vegas this year. I had my mastermind and so events, that's something I had to pay attention to. And so at that time I started actually postponing my events and then canceled postponed my Vegas event this year because I didn't know what was going to happen. And as that started happening, I cleared my schedule from my normal appointments and I got with a guy named George Morris. He's the CEO of the #1 Century 21 in the world right now. Amazing, 1,100 agents. I started talking with Danny. I started talking with the top realtors in my local market because I knew a local circle was going to be even more important right now. Okay, and I got a pulse on what was going on, and unanimously, everyone agreed. Number one is you need to start cutting your expenses 20 to 30%. Number two is you need to get very clear on where's your oxygen, and that's your cash. You need cash right now. You need to have that in your control. And then number three is you need to discover how are you going to put more cash into your system. This is business-wise. And so if you've not already done those three steps, one, cut your expenses, two, get all of your cash in control, and number three, get clear on how you're going to put cash into your system, do that step immediately. You've got to focus on this. And you got to change your language too. This is not about weathering the storm. I need you to stop saying, when we get to the other side of this, when we get through this. Wake the fuck up. This is it. These are the times you make your decisions. It's not when you get through it, when you weather it, when we get to the other side. No, it's right now. Your choices have to be made today. And if you don't do it, you're going to go out of business. It's funny, I was kind of trolling my Facebook a couple of days ago, maybe it was yesterday, I don't remember. I said, so what do you think is going to happen with the real estate market? You think it's going to go up or going to go down? Because I already know what the fuck's going to happen, right? And it blew my mind the amount of people that thought it's not going to affect the real estate market or it's going to go up from this because things are good today. It's a lag. The difference between here and 08, the real estate market hit before the stock market. Now we're going to be lagged when that person that works at the restaurant, that bar owner, can't pay his mortgage here in 30 days. That's when you're going to start to see the problem in real estate. You're already, my guess is, and tell me if I'm wrong in the comments below, you've probably already seen an increase in inventory. Why? Because it made people get off the fence. It made people start thinking, well, maybe the real estate market is going to go to shit. I want to get my equity out right now. Okay. Or you're going to start to see people say, you know what, I'm not going to buy right now till I see what goes on with this pandemic. I need to just let this settle a little bit. These are all little tiny factors. The same thing that happened with interest rates. They're all over the place. They're volatile. You know what a lot of mortgage companies are doing right now? They're closing their new construction department, completely closed down. My personal lender here in town, he had to call 5 of his clients that had already put deposits down and let them know that his bank would no longer be able to fund their new construction that they were about to start on. Why? Because that bank's smart. They don't know if that person's going to be employed in 6 months or not. They're not going to put that investment on the line. You're already starting to see, okay, maybe you see the Fed rates drop, but you know what the banks are doing? They're tightening up. They're only going to be doing 65, 70% LTV on a HELOC versus 75 or 85%. You're already starting to see people tighten up on this. Do you remember what happened last time with lines of credits, Chadi, in 2008? They started shrinking. Banks started closing them down. You had a $120,000 line of credit. Overnight, it became a $100,000 line of credit. So one of the things that I did for me, I went in my line of credits. I pulled every dollar out. I'll pay interest for a couple months just to see because I'd rather have cash. I'd rather sit on $1 million worth of cash right now versus have that in equity in real estate, because I can control it when it's in my hands. The moment that the economic stimulus loan application come out, filled it out. I sent it in. Why? Because I want to control $250,000 at 3.75%. That's why, because I know I'm going to make great decisions with that money that's going to make more money.
Yep.
So you've got to get your money in check right now if you haven't already. And then you got to start talking to as many people as possible about what you do know, not about theory.
See, here's the thing. In other words, look, the market is going to do what it's going to do. The market is going to do what the market is going to do. The economy is going to do what the economy is going to do. You decide every single day what it is that you're going to do, how you're going to adapt, what things you need to change, or what actions you're going to take. And that's going to dictate whether you come out on top as a victor or you are going to be another victim. Colton, it's a pleasure having you on, my friend. Was there a question that maybe I should have asked you that I didn't ask you that I should ask you?
Take downtime. You didn't ask me this question, and I don't even know if it's a question, but take downtime. Get outside. Don't work. Like, one of the traps that I think a high achiever could fall into right now is all you do is work nonstop. I mean, that's where I'm more likely to fall into a trap right now, and I'm being consciously aware of it. To take time to go on walks, to read books, to connect with people that are important to me, to not focus just on business or finances or the pandemic, but to focus on things that are just small and in the moment, because I think that's where real depth is found. It's found in the small, shallow here and now moments, not the deep existential, how's this all going to play out? Is this a communist bio war? Was this economic warfare? Is this communist trying to take it over? Is this the government lying to us, or this or that or whatever? You can't get lost in that stuff. It's going to consume your soul. You need to be here. You need to be present, and you need to accept and utilize what is. This is not the end of the world, by the way. I come across probably much more intense than maybe even required sometimes. But life is great. You're in a great spot. Just remind yourself that. If you're in Canada or the US and you're watching this, you're in an amazing modern society with amazing opportunity. Be blessed. And you know what else I'm really, really grateful for? I know that this stimulus package is not going to do a ton to stimulate the economy, but I love it going to the American business owners and the American people. Because if you remember, the 2008 bailout didn't go to the American people. It went to the banking industry. And what did they do with it? Nothing good for the Americans. They just made Wall Street richer. So I think if we are going to have more quantitative easing and more funny money going out there, I'm very blessed to see that the opportunity is going there for the small business guys and gals. So take advantage of that. Really, and I'm not saying, like, I see some post on Facebook right now that's like, oh, you know, if you don't need the money, don't take it. No, apply for it. You're smart enough, trust in yourself, that if you have $250,000 or $50,000 or $1 million at 3.75% interest rate, that you're going to be smart with that money. I'm not saying you're going to go spend it on shit you don't need. You're going to spend it wisely to generate more revenue in your business, to increase income. Be a steward of that. It's a blessing. Because I don't know if you noticed this, but I don't think they're going to have a stimulus package like that in China for the business people, right? They're not sending a check out to the you know, you go look at Italy. Italy's suffering right now, and yeah, they're pausing, you know, their mortgage payments, but there's not checks going directly to the business owners. There's not checks going directly to that citizen right now. So be blessed that we live in this place. Whether you support Trump or don't support Trump, I mean, the guy's got a lot of pressure on him right now. Could you imagine being president of the largest economy in the world during a global pandemic on the likes of the level we've never seen before? I don't wish that on anyone's life. You know what I mean? So be grateful and support the opportunity that's coming from this. Don't look at the negative in it. Here's some positives. Have you looked at the images from space of Earth right now? Just China in itself. The reduction in pollution is ridiculous. It's crazy how much the pollution is reduced. Think about in your own life how more effective you probably have become in your finances recently because of this. Who have you said I love you to just to say I love you to them because, you know what, it feels like the right thing to do? Whereas in 6 weeks ago, you would have hurried through it.
Yeah. Who have you forgave? Who have you spoken to they haven't spoke to in ages?
Right. So there's a lot of good that comes from this. And know that this is, in my belief, God's grace.
That. I mean, I feel like, you know, we're all, you know, whether virtually or physically, doesn't matter. I just feel like, you know, we're all reconnected now, reconnected to, you know, the source of it all. And that's the most important gift and a lot to be grateful for. Colton, I know there's people out there, you know, maybe someone in my audience that, you know, this is their first exposure to you, et cetera, and they want to learn a little bit more about you, or they want to learn a little bit about the mastermind, or they just want to enter your world. How can they, you know, connect with you, you know, get your content, get your information, anything?
Yeah, so the best is go to my Instagram, THEWGR, follow me on there, send me a DM. And then if anyone wants to take the free 5 levels quiz, it's www.the5levels.com. I teach that there's 5 levels of a real estate agent's business so that you can identify where you're at, what you need to shift, and what you need to focus on to create an ownership business and not an operator style business. Because frankly, Chadi, right now, if realtors don't work for 90 days, they're out of business. Mm-hmm. Okay. And obviously, I'm not going to take the next 90 days off given the current economic situations, but I can be okay business-wise if I take 90 days off because I know the revenue keeps coming, okay? So we want to help you get to that spot. How can you get to leveraged residual income and true financial freedom? Here's what you need to avoid right now is the idea of financial stability because that doesn't exist, but you need to be clear on your financial ability. How can you generate revenue and how can you create leveraged residual income? So go take that quiz. www.the5levels.com. You can just identify where you're at and maybe some things that can help your business in the COVID-19 market.
Love it. Thank you very much, my main man. It's a pleasure having you on, and I look forward to bringing you on again sometime in the near future. I appreciate you, my brother.
Thanks.